welcome to round 2 of the Victorian 40k Masters. I am your lovely host. No, I am your host, or one of your hosts, Joshua Diffie from Down Under Network, and I'm joined by the fantastic and sexy Josh McGowan from Queensland. Say hi to your adoring fans.
Hey guys, how we doing? So is it going to create a vortex by having two Joshes on, or?
It's funny you ask that question because I'm not sure if this is going to work. If I'm just going to kill myself here doing this thing. The shirt I'm wearing is Josh Roberts, the Team England captain shirt.
Nice.
So it's a Josh three-way, as it turns out. Big thanks to Totally Not Panics, who should totally be here playing. So Mr. Michael Hamilton is on the Victorian ATC team, and he should be at Victorian Masters. I mean, it's not my call, but if it was, I would have said you had to be here. Just, making some of our viewers feel loved. So this game is... Let me just bring that bad boy up. We're going with...
He's smashing those bits. He's up to 150 already.
Yeah, boy. You're not my dad. I'm many people's dads. All right, so we've got Mark Deal and... excuse me, against Mike Howard. Mark.
Very nice.
Let me just bring up the stream. So Mark is playing GSC. So he's got a battalion of Gene Stealer Cult, which is Twisted Helix, Anointed Throng. So he's got Patriarch, Primus, 3 units of Neophytes. So there's your tax really there. Then the 2 big units of Aberrants and a Biophagus. Anyway, it's a bio dude. Then he's got a 2nd battalion of Gene Stealer Cult. This one's Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor with the Deliverance Brood Surge Specialist attachment. That's got the Acolyte Icon Ward and the Primus. So the Acolyte Icon Ward is the field commander with the Warlord trait. He's then got 3 units of Acolyte Hybrids, 2 Rocksaw Bombs, and then the 3rd Acolyte Hybrid squad doesn't have any specialist weapons there. The Clavis, Kellamorph, and Sanctus. And then he's got a mixed GSC detachment with a Twisted Helix Icon Ward, a Bladed Cog Magus, a Hand Flamer Bladed Cog Acolyte Bomb, and 2 Twisted Helix Neophyte units. So both these boys got a 20-point win round 1 and are at the top of the leaderboard. And so if I look at Mike's orc list, so Mike is playing a battalion of orcs, Bad Moons, with the Dreadwar Specialist attachment. He has the Big Mech with the souped up Shocker, who is the Warlord. He has a Weird Boy with the Jump. He then has 2 units of 10 Boys and a unit of 10 Gretchen. He then has a unit of 7 Meganobs and 10 Tank Busters with 2 Bomb Squigs. 10 Looters. Then this is where it starts to get a little different from, I guess, what we kind of see in the meta. 2 Dakka Jets and 2 trucks. I'm a big fan of the trucks for a number of reasons, but I'll get to that a little later. And then the 2nd battalion, which is Bad Moons, has another shock attack gun and a jump Weird Boy, 30 Gretchen, and 4 mech guns and a Morkanaut. So it's quite a varied orc list. A little different to, I think, what you see in a number of orc lists historically. You tend to see like 2 to 3 units kind of just get rinsed and repeated. So the Meganob list is 2 Gretchen, shock attack guns, and then a couple of units. Whereas Orc Boys is normally just a shit ton of Orc Boys plus shock attack guns and probably looters. So you usually see one squad of looters pretty much since the fact came out that they can't mob up. But outside that, the rest, you don't often see things like the Morkanaut. You don't often see the Dakar Jets. So it's good to see a little bit of flavour start to come out. You got any comments on this?
Do you find in the Marine...
Yep.
Yeah, do you find in the Marine meta now, because obviously the Dakar Jets are neg 1, I think they get +1 to hit versus anything with the infantry keyword. So you're looking at like 18 odd shots with them, because I can't see it now, but I'm pretty sure he's taking the extra. Sorry, I'm just feeding a carrot to my kid. So,
yep.
Where are we? Yeah, so he's got the 6 times super shooters. So it's 148 points. It's one of those things where you go, like obviously everyone's worried about, you got to have 2 damage, you got to have 2 damage and all that sort of stuff. When you're going against like 60 intercessors, just putting wounds on board is nice. Like fair enough, it's only neg 1, but I'm like, they're not always in cover. So they got the touch range, they can go out and do things. What do you like about the trucks?
So the trucks, they're actually surprisingly hard to put down, especially for 64 points. They're ridiculously quick. And they're a unit that I kind of put them in the same vein that you can use rhinos for, but I don't really see them used like this anymore. They're a great unit to just send forward and tap things, like charge a unit. They're great to send after an objective. There's a good chat I was listening to, I believe, on the Art of War podcast with Liam, the good Dr. Hackett, chatting with Nick Nanavati and John Damaris about an orc truck, or orc trucks. And basically his mindset was a lot of these lists that have a big unit that does a lot of damage output, whether that be a big shooting knight or a big unit of shooting sense or whatever. If you have a unit of, say, Gretchen inside a truck, that big shooting unit can't kill both squads. So you can send a truck with a unit of 10 Gretchen onto an objective, and someone has to spend the effort of wasting an entire big unit of shooting to take out the truck. And then once the unit of 10 Gretchen hops out, you then still need to kill the 10 Gretchen, which means you then have to waste another unit shooting at it. And it just feels like such a waste, so people then don't do it. Or if they do, it means 2 good shooting units didn't shoot at, I don't know, your Meganobs, for example.
Yeah, the big one is also like your saturation of targets as well. Like how much in your list, it depends on how he goes about it. We'll see shortly how he deploys. But like you got 2 trucks with Meganobs, with tank busters, with looters in the same detachment. It's one of those things where you might not necessarily have to, depending on terrain, blow your grot shield if you just put your tank busters and your looters in there, because Thunderfires, can't get through a truck.
That's another good point. They do give you protection against Thunderfires. Good point. Wasn't one that I'd overly thought about, but it's 100% accurate there.
Like you got a lot of L's on your stream table and stuff like that, or in general, like as we're moving more into, like this is Masters, so you're looking at very, with your, like I was looking at the photos last night and stuff like that. You got your L's. It's not magic box saturation, stuff like that. So, it's one of those things where you can start looking at a few tech choices within the list, like your trucks, like your Dakars, stuff like that, because you go 9 times out of 10, how many resources do you have indirectly available to you to take on armor, to get the juicy units out, and it saves you grot. Like, well, they're forced to just shoot your grot instead of you enacting your grot shield. So, and then as I said, if you got your grots behind buildings, like those 2 series deployed there with the, the the megas are behind the building. That building is actually quite tall. You can't see past.
These ones down
So
the
he
left-hand
doesn't
corner?
need... Yeah, the bottom left, they look like megas, don't they?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm like, what's he need to grot shield from, in this other list? Because there is no indirect. So it's just like, he's more or less just looking at board presence. The Dakar Jets are good for bubbling out again because they move 20 and, you can draw a 9-inch line around them and you go, that's a no-go zone.
Yeah, they do. They do act as a really good screen unit, especially against aggressive assault bombs. So things like bloodletter bombs, even against GSC to a point. I know GSC have a number of ways of getting around it, but they either have to spend the CP to do it, or it's not a guarantee. So I think it depends a little bit. But I like the Flyers as a screen unit, and I think, but it's whether or not you can do enough with just two of them. In a hammer and anvil deployment, which is obviously what we're looking at right now, it's a lot easier to do that. But depending on the strats, Mark's definitely got enough CP to do it. There's a big hole in the left-hand side. In the center of that orc deployment for Mark to just drop in, I don't know, a unit aberrants maybe, or even the.
And
even the
if they're dropping
flamers,
in using perfect ambush, hand flamers, but he's lined all his mech there, so it's like hand flamers. It's just bowling mid dice, and that's great. Aberrants sitting there, they're not charging, so that's probably one of those things where you go, that could be a fire trap intentionally left there.
Yeah.
But that Morkanaut is going to do some work, because that thing is not a slouch. We had another prolific orc player up in Queensland, Aaron Green, running one for a long, long time. And they're actually quite saucy. So it's one of those things. Yeah, non-conventional orcs, 100%. Oh, not panics.
Yeah, I think orcs have a lot of depth in their codex. I think people focus on that top tier option or the options that they're seeing in the top tier, I should say. And as a result, a lot of the other units just don't get a look in, where I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Yeah, like these Dakar Jets in this matchup are actually pretty good because you're going, I think it's like 18 strength 6 neg 1 shots that hit on 4s. So against GSC, it's hitting on 4s with Dakar.
Yep.
Then winning on 2s at neg 1 when most of the stuff only has a 5-up save. Like this is going to take, like those Dakar Jets, like we said, early board presence, movement, blocking, and then they're just going to be picking up squads of acolytes.
Agreed.
So it should be interesting to see where the target priority comes down if there is a perfect ambush. What actually gets chosen.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out shortly. Mike has gone first, so he's pushing out with those orcs.
Yep. So I think he's at the point where he is definitely pushing out, obviously, to go, here's my 9 inches. You will be able to perfect ambush. There's nothing really you can do against that because you leave yourself too bunched up. Like if you're trying to get a unit not deploying within 3 inches of you, you're essentially just, you want to sort of go perfect ambushes like your own, like is your last sort of resort. Like you will get the 3 inches, but you're not going to get within 18 inches of my line with the rest of your dudes when you bring them in.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's one of those things of learning to just take a punch in the face and deal with the threats as they come. Like you're going to get charged. Grots are probably one of the best screen units in the game because they're like barely any save and they're wounded so easily. So it's not even like I'll attack with half my weapons.
Yeah, because if
Yeah,
you...
I'll turn.
100% agree. I mean, if you've got a combat-based unit that goes... well, for example, Morrisoli, when he was playing against the Intercessors in the last round, had Khan the Betrayer and a Demon Prince, both in combat with a unit, and he didn't want to kill it, so he used this close combat weapon instead of his profiled special weapons, and was then able to not kill it. But Khan the Betrayer, for example, attacking a Grot unit with just his fists, he's hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s.
And you got 6 updates.
Yeah, so Khan without his weapon is almost just as effective as when he uses it. It's like
everyone just looks at.
Yeah.
But and the same token too, like the Grots can, obviously we're talking about unconventional and stuff like that. Like there's a few lists running around where people are using Grots in math. When we just told about how squishy they are until you look at volume. And then there is some other tricks and stuff that you can do to actually make them quite resilient.
Yeah.
And hilarious how hard they can potentially hit with some psychic powers and stuff like that.
100%. Liam Hackett up your way has now done quite well with Grot Horde at a couple of events now, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could deal playing that army, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too many models to move.
Mental and physical drain.
Yeah. It's really weird with Genestealer Cult armies, because I'm looking at a number of tables in front of me, and there's a huge chunk of them that are still just deploying. But because the Genestealer Cult just basically goes, cool, blip, 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 all right, I'm done, and the other player doesn't, has to, doesn't really get to know where anything's going to be, the first turn starts real quick. Now, don't get me wrong, the first turn for the Genestealer Cult takes forever because they're effectively doing the deployment phase.
Yeah.
But it's, it's from a stream perspective, you get right into the action real quick.
Yeah, and they're good, bringing up your chat from game one, you and I are from the Stone Age when it comes to tournaments. It's it is rare that you find people sticking to the one thing. Like, back in the day, you used to be known by the army you played.
Yeah.
It's death on Dark Angels, and stuff like that. It's, things like that where you go, there's no that innate ability anymore where, Genestealer Cult players all share in the same fact that they are very good at being quick, because it's whilst, yes, you're doing an deployment at the same time with, more or less, when you look at their list, a lot of it's chaff that they don't really care about. So it's yep, Guardsmen or, Mortars or, whatever is coming down quick. Their real strat is basically akin to a demon player when they start bringing in their bombs.
Yeah, do you remember Demons in 5th Ed? Demons in 5th Ed was cool, I'm deployed. I did not put a single model down, and half of it's coming down turn 1.
Yep.
It's the Genestealer Cult play style lends itself to those that use demons in 5th edition, I feel.
Yeah, and it's playing lengthways, it's one of those things where you go range comes into it, but it's a restriction of movement for the Genestealer player because you're only going 24 inches across. So there's not multiple angles that they can approach from. It's only 4 feet. So it's, so it does make it a bit hard. I'm not sure. We'd have to get some Genestealer players in the chat and find out what their preference of, I would imagine diagonals or quarters would be good for them.
Yeah, I guess so. I reckon Vanguard would make sense. Probably Dawn of War actually, because you're forcing someone to spread out. I think where Genestealer, where you can defend yourself against Genestealer Cult, you tend to end up having multiple layers of screen units. So you'll see how how Mike's pushed forward with the grots. He's pushed forward with the planes. And then there's a big gap between that and his, I guess, chunky units. It's a lot harder to do that in a Dawn of War deployment, whereas pretty much every other deployment, you can do something similar. So if you've got the pointy Dawn of War, you can deploy in a bit of a V shape and then spread out. If I was just to draw it on the table. If you've got a pointy Dawn of War, you could still deploy like this. If you've got Vanguard, you can still deploy like Rose. Same with the Spearhead deployment. The Dawn of War is the one that I think would benefit the Genestealer cult the best.
Yeah. I wasn't too sure on his grot movement at the start there, because I'm like, the intercepting layers and stuff like that, until he moved his planes. So if you look at we'll look at the blue planes, so see the gap between the yellowish type greeny squad. So the one on the objective compared to the one in front of the Morkanaut.
Yep. So you're talking about
there's
the gap. That gap. Yep.
Yep. So that gap between those two units. So that's quite large. We go, maybe you can get through it. But then you look at where the 9 is drawn from the front of that unit that you just drew to in the center. And then from the plane, it's actually a massive board out where by the time you do casualties, you're not going to get through that gap.
Yep.
Because you're going to have to consolidate a certain way, and that's going to keep the Gorkanaut safe, even though it does look like it's got this massive gap that you get through.
No, I agree.
And then he's done this.
Yeah, so am I correct in what you're saying there is the planes actually mean that from a consolidation perspective, and even for a pile-in, you have to go towards the closest enemy, even if it's a plane? And so you end up having to go in a direction that you don't want to? Is that kind of what you're leaning there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, there's that. And then also that forward squad is pretty much out so far out ahead of the others that it's not just by accident, because they all started in a direct line. Because I think he rolled, like I saw him do his measurement for the one near the blue plane, and he brought him back a couple of inches. Yep. So he's basically went, I want my planes further out than 2 of my squads, and I want the squad in the centre to be, that's close to 6 inches by the time you look at the front corner back to the front corner of blue plane squad.
Yep.
The guy on the bottom right compared to the yellowish squad in front of the Morkanaut. That's a fair big gap where you go, we're only dealing 6 inches here. So it's like by the time that you hit them, move 3 and then move 3 afterwards, you might not tag the other squad.
No, agreed. It looks like Dean's going to do some ironing. Looks like you're going to do some ironing. He's just doing some domestic duties. No, so at Vic Masters this weekend, there is a... I'm just going to confirm the actual title of it. Is it Hobby Vic Masters or Vic Masters Hobby, or what's the actual title of the other... There isn't a... all right. So there's no official title, but effectively there is a Hobby Vic Masters. So that is different to like Armies on Parade or just paint scores that you would see at normal tournaments. People have brought in units which are, I think after this round I'll probably do a Facebook live stream so that I can walk around the room. But there's a table with just like monstrous creatures and busts, units, and there's different categories. So just showing off some of the hobby skill of Victoria. And Dean's just setting up a photo booth, so hopefully he'll get some photos of that up on the, one of the channels, and we'll share it. So these two are they're having a bit of a laugh, which is good to see. It's obviously fairly early on. I think we're up to turn 2. That's how quick this game's going to go. He's just de-jumped, and I'm not trying to be cool, these prescription glasses. I've got bad eyes.
Looks like Rocket Boys.
It is. Yeah, he's de-jumped his tank busters. So I might head over in a minute and have a good peek. But good to see. I'm a big fan of the the jumping the tank busters first turn and putting out some solid damage. He has put them a fair way out there though. They're really unsupported. One of the things I like to see when things get dejumped is it depends a little bit on obviously the opponent's list, but having the ability to either countercharge or react is important. But you'll see here that these tank busters, they're not actually going to jump out and put any damage down because they're mostly hiding behind a building. He's using them as a screen unit.
Yep.
So I'm going to have a look. This has to be a boy unit, not tank busters. He just happened to pick the first model being a rocket boy, I think.
That's right.
Because that unit's too big.
I think it comes down to as well. It's just like he's got a large front. He can take out the models that he wants. It's very hard to pin an orc unit because of the 6-up t-shirt save. And then depending on where we go back to the whole you must consolidate. He's got 2 planes there that can pick up any sort of threat that wants to do it. And if he wants to drop his hand plane to deal with a forward screen, then so be it.
Yep. All right. Let's go do a little bit of a roam.
And welcome, Eric.
All right. So, no, you're right. Can have a look. Yeah, it's done. Mike's DQ'd. No. Yeah, so it was just a boy unit. Big boy unit. So I'm assuming that's mobbed up. Mobbed up boy unit to jump forward. Outside that, we've got going through and having a look at what went down turn 1. So turn one, we've got Mark, a bunch of neophyte units up the back top right hand corner with one of the icon wards, and up the top right hand corner. Bottom right-hand corner, there's a bunch of neophyte units. So he's still got all of his hybrids, Rocksaw units, Aberrant, really good characters. They're all still up in the blip.
Yeah, the usual smash your face up type units.
Yep. And for those that were playing at home and watching or hearing about Jeremy Marigold Martino playing against the Gumby list, which was just a shit ton of Assault Centurions. With the changed matchup, Jeremy is playing against a Chaos list with 3 Nacho Cheese Dorito Dreadnoughts and 2 Demon Princes with a whole bunch of Plague Bearers. More that I just can't see because that's not enough. And there's I think a whole bunch of Terminators in reserves.
Yeah, that's exactly what he wants to play against. He even tailored for it.
I don't think that's as big a deal as what he thought it was. That actually sounds like a reasonable matchup.
That's just him cushioning himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to end up winning it? I'm just joking.
How good am I?
Yeah.
There he is. I'll go find. So we've got Mr. Adam Camilleri from Down Under Network and Art of War Australia versus Josh Brody from Team Legion. And looks like a lot of pink horrors are getting picked up. Are they pick-up horrors? Yeah, where's my budum when I need it? Hold on, that was a joke that deserved No, I'll get this button through. Anyway. Where are these buttons that I need? What's the other game you want to see? Am I coming through, by the way, Josh?
Yeah, mate, you're good.
Yeah, cool.
So for the guys that just joined us fresh off that, thank you to all of the patrons and the support that DUP is getting, because the boys have got themselves a new soundboard, and that's what Dippy's talking about. So
yeah, I'm trying real hard.
Using those Patriot dollars and the donations, every bit helps, because they just upgrade their tech and put it back into the quality of their stream. So
yeah, so once again, thanks heaps for everyone, for the patrons that have been helping out, and for those that have been doing the bits donations and all that jazz. We've, as Josh said, been putting all that coin back into just better and better and better gear each time. So we're pretty stoked with the new gear that we bought yesterday, and we're hoping to get a whole bunch of more cameras for maybe not December, but maybe January or Feb, and just continue to increase the quality that you guys get. So the more you guys support, the more we provide you with cool shit.
So it looks like in the Orc game, he's moving those Orc boys now.
Yeah, and those Dakar Jets have just gone balls deep.
Yeah. So he's basically carpeting out the board. So basically, it goes back to you either go balls deep and go, I'm going to only leave you with a perfect ambush. Because you can see him, he's continuously measuring back 18. So 9 inches back from the boys, 9 inches forward from the grot. So you can actually have 18 inches between two units, and you can still block out with it. So maximum buffer.
Yeah, Mark's going to need to be careful here. Mark could end up being in a position where he has to actually deploy his defensive units. So his offensive units just on that back line.
Yeah, and not to mention he can pick up the looters or the rocket boys, like you said, and to jump them. Like 10. They're only 10 models, but when you look at 10 models spaced 2 inches apart, you like we said, we've only got 4 feet with a board. I think you can pretty much do it because you've got 9 inches either side of it as well.
What's the board? Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, agreed.
If he does another jump and lands that unit, 9 inches away from other units, it's like, he has to drop units on top of his already existing units. So that's really, really aggressive, but really smart play from the Orc player. Yeah.
So Mike's just currently measuring out the gap between that front row of Orc boys and the grot that he's moving now. He's been with his bubbles, with his denial zones. So it's one of the things that Orcs do real well is they have such cheap units to be able to do like what he's doing with the grots right now. Like a lot of other armies have to spend a lot of points to make that work. And whereas the grots do a great job. The other thing that's really good to see, the jumping grots. I had a game when the Codex first came out, and first turn I had to jump 30 grots and charge a bunch of their vehicles with just 30 grots. It's amazing what a unit of grot can hold up.
100%. Like you got 2 CP pass, you've got Meganobs or Wassers nearby.
Yeah.
But the good thing about those planes is I like that he's running them down the edges like that, because that's 2 turns now. So next turn just turns 90, like the red one turns 90 left, goes all the way across the other board. The blue one does the same, and they just basically swap positions. And then if you perfect ambush, he can use both the planes to come back and absolutely obliterate that unit. In the 4th turn, 5th turn, turn right, swap place again. Like, it's phenomenal. He's going to be shooting with them all game.
The one thing to point out though, is those 2 flyers. I mean, there is a total of 10, 20, 30. I think there's 50 neophytes back there. that are deployed right now. So there's the possibility that Mark could actually bubble out that space, and he'll have nowhere to fly those planes.
Yep. So that's more controlling movement as well, because if you're supposed to do that just to kill 248-point models,
yeah,
out of the rest of the list, you've already won. Like, that's the good thing about it.
Agreed. It's one of those things with, well, that's the thing with MSU in general, though. You end up in a position where you're forced to kill, like, put effort into killing chaff.
Yep. Well, the good thing is, it's nice to see, even with defensive and going first, that the Orc player is taking advantage of that and going, no, Gene Steel Cult player, you will be reactive to me. Where normally with Gene Steel Culture, everyone's always reactive to them. You know, they castle up, they do this, you know, they wait for the first wave, repel, you know, wait for the second wave and see if they just out attrition. Whereas this approach here, it's hyper-aggressive, and he's just going, no, you've got to now make bad decisions because of what I'm doing to you. You know, and you can land a jump anywhere. Like, you know, Rocket Boy's landing mid-board once he's got all this stuff outside of buildings and stuff like that, because as soon as he shows his face, there's so much shooting in that Orc list that, you know, you are going to pick up whole squads regardless.
Yeah, one of my concerns, though, is the planes have got themselves in a position where all they're allowed to do is take up that space on the right-hand side. There is, as I said, there's a total of 50 neophytes that can spread out, and maybe he doesn't try to take out both, but there's a good chance with the 30 that are on the bottom right-hand corner that he can block out that blue plane, which is it's much deeper into the lines, that has a very small window. You know, you'll probably only have to take up, you know, that kind of space on the right hand side, which you can do with the 30 neophytes you've got. Maybe the red one's a little harder to kill, but I feel the blue one could just drop. I feel for that play to work, he probably needed to jump a unit into that kind of gap where the AV logo is, and probably charge one of the neophyte squads to kind of block that space. So Mike's just realised that blue plane's about to die. Dead planes? Both or one? Both? Yeah, Mike's pretty certain that that Mark's going to be able to take out both planes.
Yep.
So, yeah, I was a little concerned. Hold on, 1 second. I think when I was a fair way from the table, but I think it was after too late. He finished his movement phase, and Mark had already started measuring out the planes and where they could go, and I had said, "Oh, those planes are dead," and I think he'd heard me, so he's just realised just how easy it's going to be to kill them. He's dicing it out, so you can see that Mark doesn't actually need to take up the entire space. So technically the plane can land probably anywhere in this kind of box, but he doesn't actually need to take up the whole box because the plane needs to be able to fit the whole base. So he only needs to take up that space. My pretty little drawings. So yeah, you end up in a... Mark's in a pretty good spot. He's going to pretty much just kill two planes with movement, and that's how you want to do it. If you have to kill stuff, let's not put any effort into it, lads. Just in front of me, we have Matt the Plague Hulk Morrisoli versus Lee the Bull Abbey. Lee is playing a Gene Stealer Cult list, whereas Matt, who was just on stream prior, is playing his T-Sons, Demons, Heretic Astartes soup, which has 3 Plagueburst Crawlers from the Death Guard book and Khan the Betrayer. I'll be interested to see how much damage Khan the Betrayer does on the GSC list. Lee does have the Goliath truck, and as discussed in the previous stream, Khan the Betrayer has Armor Bane. There we go. There's my good jokes. I think my jokes just drove Mr. McGowan away. The viewers drop. No, they don't. So
I think I even dropped.
You even dropped. It's like, no, I've had enough of these jokes. Yes, so I want to say a big thanks once again to the Down Under Network patrons. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to keep putting out the content that we do at the quality that we wish to achieve. We are in a position right now where we've really upped the game on the audio, and hopefully that's coming across to you guys. And in addition, we're looking at then upping a couple more cameras, both for the game table as well as potentially secondary or third games. Watch this space. Quite literally, watch this space at twitch.tv/downunder_network. You know the address. If you're watching this, you know the address. You're there.
So Barkley 280 just asked a question. It's been there for a while, but I'm just looking at the caveat. So Planeswing still allowed to overhang board edges. Now there's an FAQ that got done saying that you should be drawing a flat line up from the board edge and nothing to peek over the top. The problem that we have though is that we're not the TOs. Like, we're not the players. We can't interrupt. We can't, that's why we're saying we're very careful with what we say around the players because we don't want to lead or anything like that. So it's more or less, we've got to leave it up to the players to spot those things or the TOs to spot those things. We can't interject.
It's also worth pointing out from the angle I'm sitting, I'm assuming that Barkley 280 is actually referring to that red plane down the bottom right-hand corner. It's actually not overhanging. I know it looks like it is. If you look where the base is, it's actually a fair way in. Because the angle of the camera, from the camera to the model is not a straight up and down. It's on an angle. And so it looks like the wing is hanging over the edge, but it's not. But as Josh rightly says, even if we were to, even if it was to be overhanging, we wouldn't have said anything anyway. So we have a unit of things.
Totally not panics. Other events being streamed for the immediate future.
That's a very good question. What are you streaming?
So. Queensland Masters coming up in a couple of weeks. Now, Luke from the Normal Blokes podcast, he's come along to either stream with that or to play. We're just working out the details of how that's going to go about. So stay tuned, but we're trying to nut out how that's going to actually work. Not sure about you, Biff, but that's pretty much the last event we've got up here for the year.
Yeah, so we have the Adeptus Victorium circuit, which is primarily spearheaded by Dean Sinbeck, who runs Vic Masters, which is a number of events. I believe it's one every month, and your best results go towards end-of-season prizes. There is a season finale in December. I'm unable to stream it. I'm not sure if Adam is playing it as yet. Same kind of deal. We're kind of working out which ones are going to play versus which ones we're going to stream. So at this stage, this could be the last event on Down Under Network for 2019. We're definitely going to be putting out a fair bit of content between now and the end of the month, whether that's battle reports or something else. So stay tuned. And if Queensland Masters does get streamed by Luke, I'm not 100% certain what's been discussed, but generally Luke streams through our channel, so you can probably find it here or wherever else it gets streamed. If it's not being streamed here, we will host it, so you'll be able to see it one way or another. We'll make sure that Queensland Masters, if it's being streamed, you can find it. But one of the things to keep in mind, like the Facebook pages, you'll get notifications. We send, we try and publish what we're doing at least a week in advance. Sometimes we get asked last minute to do things, which makes it a little trickier to promote. But that's the plan. So the other, so like the Facebook pages, and we will keep you informed. So I think Mike's a little concerned at the moment. He's about to lose his planes when Mike has his movement phase. And that unit of acolytes that dropped looks like it is just V-shaped in the middle, which means he must have used the CP for perfect ambush. And he's then just taking out multiple screens. Then next year, and then the question from Panics is next year CanCon first event. So we'll be streaming CanCon, which is late January. So I guess that CanCon should be our first event for 2020. Jeez, it feels weird saying 2020. I feel old. Almost as old as you, mate.
You're older.
No.
Yep, I'm a spring chicken.
What year were you born?
86.
Mate, I am old. Anyway. So Mike is just picking up those... I believe these are all the... Oh, they're not saves. They're just dice back. I might pick up the Roman...
so that was the hand plan, is to pick up two Grot squads and half the Orc squad. So
yeah. That's
not a bad way of using one unit.
Yeah, I think... and it's in a... Well, and also being able to take out the planes in the same turn effectively. That's a good trade.
Thank you, Georgie. Simon. We thought that was we thought the beast from the east was Eric. It's been Simon the entire time.
Really?
Simon. Yep. So he's
handball. Yeah, then I can play with frames like outside or outside. Mike was unaware of perfect ambush. He was not aware. I told him I could do that before the game. Okay. So there's a lot of rules to remember though with Gene Silicol. Mark is letting us know that he specifically told Mike about the perfect ambush strat, and Mike and I think Mike may have forgotten. Hence why he was able to deploy in that perfect V shape, which has taken out a number of screen units. Yeah. So now you're seeing a unit of Roxor hybrids have now dropped down in that space that the Gretchen have left.
Yeah, do you want me to read out Perfect Ambush so the guys at home follow along know exactly what it's doing?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Long story short, it's shoot on arrival.
Oh, that's not reading it out.
I've got to find it. I'm getting there.
Yeah, so basically the unit can deploy
immediately after you set up
3 inches.
Yeah, so use the stratagem in the movement phase immediately after you set up an infantry or biker unit from your army that has the cold ambush ability on the battlefield. That unit can either move D6, even if it has arrived as reinforcements, or it can shoot with all of its ranged weapons as if it was your shooting phase. Use the stratagem in your own turn does not prevent that unit from shooting in your shooting phase or making a charge move in the charge phase. So that's the perfect ambush. So when he's arrived down with his hand flamers, he's popped that one. And then the other one was lying in wait to get him in close, I think.
Yeah, so lying in wait, I think gives you the 3 inch, and the perfect ambush is the one that gives you the shoot effectively immediately, which means any casualties that make a gap, you can now put more of your units down using the blitz or ambush strategy in that space that's been made.
Yeah, so that was a 5 CP dump. So you often find there's a trend with GSC. It's just like they start with 18, by turn 2 they got like 7. But yeah, so now those hand flamers are still able to target the other grots and the remainder of the boys for anyone that's within 6 inches. So it shoots on arrival and shoots again.
I've just walked over to Josh Brody from Team Legion and Adam Camilleri from Team Down Under Network / Art of War. So hashtag Art of War Australia / Big Squid, Giant Squid Gaming, and every other hashtag you want to throw in there. So Josh had an unsuccessful first turn. Did you get second? Yeah. So we're up to Adam, who's starting to push forward with a number of his units. Adam looks to be trying to take up quite a lot of the board presence. Coming back to one of the other top tables with Matt the Plague Hog Morrisoli, and Lee the Bull Abbey. We have in the center of the table Zangors and Plague Burst Crawler taking on Aberrant, a Goliath, and some Gene Stealers. And the rest of Matt's army is hunkered down in the corner. Looks like it's still fairly early on, so I'm imagining there's still 2 blood-bloody units in reserve, I think.
Thank you to C Farsight for now following. It's good to have you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Much appreciated. All right, so
3, and because he is a psyker, he perils, which is doing has 1 wound left. And that's D3 mortal wound.
So the psyker sniper from Mark's list just took out the
Warphead.
Warpsmith. No, not Warpsmith. Not Warphead. I'm still blank on the name. Oh man. It is the, work with me here, Josh. Weird Boy.
I just told you, Warphead.
Nah, not a Warphead. That's a stratagem. So he took out the Weird Boy with the Psycho Sniper, who perils, and then took out Meganob.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so basically, it creates When it gets to Psyker, it creates mortal wounds. If that kills the model, then obviously
what?
From a perils.
One sec, mate. So Kellamorph took out both.
Kellamorph took out that one. Sanctus took out that one.
Okay, yeah. So Sanctus took out one of the weird boys, and Kellamorph took out the other weird boy.
Yeah.
Both weird boys down.
So no more to jumping.
Yeah. Those Meganobs are walking. Maybe they can catch a plane. Oh, wait a second.
I thought the acolytes were catching a plane.
You could send the truck back for them though. Good, mate. Good call. I'm sorry for the delayed response in that. That was I like it. I got the right buttons here. I've got a 50-50 chance between the Budum and the fail whale. I went for the Budum. I got the wrong one. Anyway, it still works. So there's three tables. I would say at the pointy end that have sharks on them. But if I go to table 3, we've got Stuart, the kid trainer, with his Tyranids. How's going against the Cron? Bad?
Ben's already dead, so no neg 1 anymore, and lots of tests in half. Pretty much, I think he's probably... If I'm lucky, I reckon I'll have 3 more turns. See how we go.
So Stuart's prediction is that he's got three turns left before he's gone, if he's lucky.
Stuart. Take the most of it, mate.
Yeah, have fun. I'll head back to Jeremy Marigold Martino. So there's still quite a lot of the Death Watch on the table. We've got 2 Noble Demon Princes, 1 of the Nacho Cheese Dorito Dreadnoughts. There's still 10 of those to come down. Yeah. So it looks pretty dire for the Death Guard player, but he's still got 10 of the relatively expensive Terminators to come down. So I think, well, yes, the big screen unit of Plague Bearers has been taken down pretty much, and 2 of the Dreadnoughts. On the most part, the big punch still to come. So we'll have to come back to that table and revisit that one. But to come back to the mainstream table. So we've just had 11 Orc boys fight the dust, which I'm assuming was from the Flamer unit shooting for the second time.
Yeah, so getting their actual shooting phase shooting, not rifle shooting.
Yeah.
So he cleared up the grots, 2 grot units, the ones on objective 1, the ones that were spaced out from objective 2. And then the rest of the boys, the boys are back up on objective 3, but if that forces 2 CP out of the Orc player to hold an objective and keep it alive, then...
Yeah, so I mean, we've said it a couple of times now, but just for the confirmation for those that may have joined late, those 2 planes auto-pop next turn because Mark has managed to box out positioning for those planes, which means this turn, if you include those planes, because effectively they died because of his movement, he's killed 2 planes. The big boy squad will die for morale, which was 2 boy squads that were mobbed up. He's killed 2 weird boys. He's killed at least 2, if not 3 units of drop.
Yep.
It's a big turn.
And he's probably going to charge with the rock swords at the shock attack gun on the left-hand bottom there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're 90.
Okay. So the Rocksaw unit has a 7-inch charge because he's Cog of the Four-Armed Emperor. He failed.
Oh.
Failed that charge.
Right.
So the sniper has just declared a charge. He's just declared a charge against the grot.
Oh, is there a couple stuck underneath the ledge on one?
Yeah, on one. There's 2 grots remaining sitting on that objective.
Yeah.
And he's trying to charge them with the sniper.
He's in the center of that V of the blue dudes.
Yeah, I'll come around that side of the table. So based on the bottom, just put a die tank. So it's down here near objective 1. It's the sniper character. Those 2 grots sitting under objective, or hiding under the ruin on objective 1, have just had 3 different units fail their charge against them. I think they popped by morale anyway. So I think he was using it to just get an extra movement.
Yep.
He's paid 2 CP to keep the big boy unit alive, which is on objective 3. The 2 grots that he was hoping to try and charge, they've just dropped. They're just counting up the kills for Mal. Because he's got no prisoners, blood and gut, and assassinate. So he got the assassinate because he killed the 2 weird boys.
Yeah, so I got the 3+3. Yeah, so that's 5 points.
Big turn.
All right. That's right.
I got 7 points in Maelstrom. Yep.
All right. That's a big turn for Mark.
5 bloody board.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Yeah. Mark needed to pick that turn up. If he didn't, he was in trouble.
Literally straight if I do this.
It was 5 CP, I think, to pull it off. I mean, you got to do it. 5. Yeah. All right. Bloodletter Bomb is coming down on the table next to us. This is Morrisoli versus Lee Abbey. The Zangor Bomb has bit the dust. Just looking at what's left. Zangor Bomb's down. Plague Burst Crawl still alive?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, twice got affected, so I was going to call the Gene Steelers, but I got the affected out early.
So Lee vectored Morrisoli's fight twice. Strat to try and take out for him to try and take out the Gene Stealers with his Zangors, so Morrisoli's at least trying to take the victory from that in the sense that he got rid of the Vex early. So, which is a logical statement. I mean, Vex is something going to happen at some point. It's going to screw up one of your better plans. You may as well get it out of the way.
Yeah, so the Gene Steel Cold only gets filled once per game.
Yeah.
Why you're celebrating it for the guys
Yeah.
at home. So it's not... Yeah, it's the Vex type power where you cancel out and refund, CP. But, yeah, you only have access to it. It's only 3 CP, I think, for Gene Steel Cold.
Yeah.
But the flip side is that it's only once per battle. So
Yeah.
getting it out early, like turn 1, is a huge thing because it allows Morrisoli to sort of, make more more bigger plays without fear of more bigger TP plays without fear that he's just going to get stopped in his tracks.
100%.
Diff, I'm going to be back in like 2 minutes.
No problems, mate. All right, so just come back to the desk. So I just want to say a bit of a shout out to some of the people in the community that have really helped us to get us to the place where we are these days. So big shout out to first and foremost all of our patrons that with their love and support have managed to get us to a position where we can increase the gear or improve the gear, both from an audio standpoint and a visual standpoint, to make sure you guys are getting the best stream possible. So big thanks to you guys. Want to say a big thanks to a number of the sponsors over the last 12 months. So OTB Terrain from Western Australia have been great in providing a number of products and vouchers for our streams and our competitions. They do some amazing 3D printed terrain. They've just started moving into the 3D printed with resin miniatures. So more detailed models, characters, units, etc. So make sure you check the team out at OTP Terrain, both on Facebook and their website. Big shout out to Knights of Dice, who have been a great support to us over the last, for me, forever. So, ever. So Viv from Knights of Dice was, I just got to shout out back to the table for a second. The 2 planes have just gone down. They went down in the movement phase based on some pretty schmick movement from Mr. Mark Deal to make sure that they had no place to go, and they're bitten the dust. So regarding Viv, from Knights of Dice. So he used to run a store/gaming club called the Battle Bunker Gaming Club in Northcote, Victoria, which is where I got back into competitive 40k with a couple of mates, and really had a warm environment to get your hobby on, to get your games on. I think everyone, I think communities need places like that where people can come and play. It's what I like about House of War. They're great. This is what the venue we're in today. House of War is great for just coming down, not only getting your hobby gear, so whether that be product or models or glue or paint or whatever, but also just hanging out. It's a good hangout space for both doing your hobby and enjoying your games. So Viv managed that store in that club, and has been a great support for me from a number of tournaments that I've run, as well as I said, the support he's given the stream has been fantastic. So thanks for Knights of Dice. They predominantly do laser cut MDF style terrain, but they also do acrylic based things as well, and miniatures and foam bags. They've got quite a range of products, so check them out. And big thanks to Frontline Gaming, who have hosted our channel for quite some time, really making sure that we get that content out there to people outside of the Australian time zone location. So this game went from a very dominating position of the Orc player, who was doing great board denial. He was unaware that Mark was going to be able to drop a unit down within that bubble and then shoot and then drop more units down in that spot. So we ended up with the situation, as previously said, where you had the Flamer unit drop in this little V that was here and take out a number of units, so 2 units of Grots and most of the unit of Boys. And then he was able to drop down with a Rocksaw unit. Now that Rocksaw unit unfortunately hasn't actually, unfortunately for Mark, fortunately for Mike, hasn't actually been able to get a charge off yet. So we'll see what happens there. We could see Mike just kind of step back away from it and just leave that rock saw unit just swinging in the wind. That's one play available. But we will see. So some of the other things that are going on down under. So 2020 is seeing the launch of the Down Under Championships, which is a circuit within Australia and New Zealand, whereby all events in Australia and New Zealand are eligible as long as they have at least 10 players, 3 rounds, and 1,000 points. Your best results will go towards your overall rankings. You'll have, to be eligible for the prize, you'll have to have played in 2 certified events. There's 1 certified event per region, so 1 in Victoria, 1 in New South Wales, etc. It's really there to encourage inter-regional mingling. And the season prize, drumroll. Do I have a drumroll? Kind of. Drumroll is that the winner of the circuit, the championships, will get flights, accommodation, and entry to a international 40k event. We are in talks with a couple of different events. The plan at this stage is to allow the player, once that person has won, to decide from a list of events of which one they would like to go to. So watch this space, but it's a pretty epic prize. There is Australia has had the Australian ITC Championships, predominantly run by the team at CanCon, that put out a big end-of-season prize themselves, which is a flight, accommodation, and ticket to LVO. Don't quote me on that, something like that. We took the mindset that rather than pick a specific event, if someone wins both circuits, it seems silly to have the prize for the same location. So we'll give them the choice. Also, it's a long way to go to these international events from Australia. You got to organise leave, holidays, that kind of stuff. You can't just rock up for a weekend. So yeah, we'll look at doing some additional end of season prizes, whether that be faction-based, hobby-based, sportsmanship, etc. We're kind of playing that a little bit by ear. All prizes will be published prior to the commencement of the championships, which is in March. So we'll just have another look at one of the games directly in front. So we've got, as I said, Matt Morrisoli and Lee Abbey. So there's a big rock piece of terrain that's currently blocking view of where the aberrants were. So let me just see if I can get a better angle. It looks like the aberrants are still there, but they're not being engaged. So the bloodletter bomb that's just dropped is charging the Gene Stealer squad. So we could end up with a situation where the Gene Stealers go down to the bloodletters, and he may also use the Fight Twice strat there to potentially take out the aberrants or another unit. I'll try and keep you guys apprised of that game as well. I believe over on the Adam Camilleri versus Josh Brody table, Adam appears to be in a relatively commanding position. I think it's still fairly early on in the game, even though the round's been going for over an hour. I think that's a trend we're starting to see. A lot of these games tend to have the first 2 turns take up way too much time. But then as this becomes this seesaw moment where suddenly someone starts to get tempo, you see that quickly speed up. And for those who are unfamiliar with the some of the jargon, some of the lingo, so tempo in 40k or tempo in competitive games generally means, simply put, if you've got 2,000 points, killing or shooting and killing things from a 2,000 point list. The first one that does the damage, the counter attack is now less than 2,000 points, so in theory it should kill less. And the more you kill over your opponent's retaliation, the then more you can kill versus your opponent's retaliation. It's a curve, is the idea. And as you increase your tempo, you're killing things a lot quicker than they can retaliate. So back to this table, we've got the Morkanaut who's unloading into the Flamer squad, which is in the center-ish of the table. So that was this V shape. One of the things we might see Mark do after he failed that charge and everything's kind of just disappeared from that Roxor unit's charge or threat range, we might see Mark, I think it's called Into the Shadows. Anyone on the stream want to correct me on the actual strat or rule, but the bit where it can basically put that unit back into tactical reserve effectively, so it can come in again later. I believe it's Into the Shadows. You have to be a certain distance, so return to the shadows. Thank you, Breedog. You have to be a reasonable distance from your opponent to achieve that. And Varag. Thank you very much. Hey guys, big round of applause to the chat for giving us a hand with some of those rule names. I was close with Into the Shadows, Return to the Shadows, same. But yes, he should be able to then return to the shadows with the unit or the Roxor unit, and then bring them back in and hopefully not fail the charge next time. So far on the stream, we have seen Chaos Demons versus Space Marines in round 1. Sorry, I'll say Chaos versus Space Marines round 1. Round 2, we've seen Genestealer Cult versus Orcs. Is there any particular faction you guys would like to see in round 3? It looks like Rob Lane is in a commanding position with his Necrons on table 3. So he'll be at the pointy end. So there's a good chance we'll probably put Rob's game on stream versus whoever he's playing, which will give you guys a fair bit of variety from the course of the day. I believe...
apologies, I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Woo! Glad to have you back, my friend. I think what you've missed is most of that Flamer unit that was in the center of the table has been taken out, but not dead. The Kelemorph was dropped, so that was... previously up that top left-hand corner space. So the Kelemorph dropped, took out a Weird Boy, and then died in return. The Flamer unit dropped, took out a bunch of Grots, a bunch of boys, and he's currently still sitting there. And that Roxor unit, I'm anticipating will return to the shadows after failing their charge. But we'll wait and see when it comes to Mark's turn. Mark's in a fairly commanding position.
Was it the Morkanaut that picked up the Flamer unit?
Predominantly,
or was it
yeah.
Looters?
Yep. I think both. Well, both. It was a combination of both. I think I'm not 100% certain which units he used to shoot the Kelemorph. There was nothing else around the Kelemorph, so the Kelemorph was fair game as far as the character rule wasn't helping. Or should I say keyword?
So now it's open seasons on a character.
Yeah. So there Well, it was. Took out the the Kellamorph was unprotected in the first place, so the Kellamorph was up the top left-hand corner, and the Sanctus is down the kind of center, just slightly off center down the bottom, which was around near the Roxor unit. That Flamer unit has now disappeared, but there is I believe, a character still kind of sitting there. So looks like the Morkanaut. Does the Morkanaut have a strat that lets him shoot twice? Is that what I'm? Yeah.
If he takes part of the Dreadwire, yeah.
Yeah. So the Morkanaut's shooting a second time. Yeah, the Morkanaut's shooting a second time, and he's going to take out the character that's right in front of him. I think it's an. I'm not sure which character it is, but it's a supporting character. Yeah. I'm surprised Mark just hasn't picked up the model. I don't know. Things could go wrong, but generally speaking, if someone's shooting something with a reasonable amount of firepower at one model, I'll make you roll it.
It looks like he's only rolling one wound. So.
Yeah. He's trying to argue whether or not not argue, I should say. He's trying to work out whether or not he should CP reroll something. He has. So I think one of his guns has D6 shots. Maybe not. He's not doing very well. It's funny. I did say maybe we should just pick up that model, but looks like Mark's made the right call. Make them roll the dice. It's a dice game. You can roll shit.
Looks like you got a CP back off of that command reroll too.
Yeah, so it's not the end of the world. I think the Morkanaut's done a bit more damage than Mark thought it was going to, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. It'd be interesting. One of the weird things about armies like Genestealer Cult is because they start with nothing on the table. It's really hard to work out what's still off. With units like all right, so if we look at the last stream game, so Morosoli had the two Bloodletter bombs that were held in reserves, but the rest was deployed. Like you knew that there was just 2 units. That's all the ones you had to remember. Have those 2 units come in. But it's like, all right, has every single unit come in? What's still left? Hard to remember sometimes playing against GSC, and if a GSC player has their units like in a case under the table or something like that, it's really hard to just remember what's left. And there's nothing wrong with them putting them there, by the way. I'm just saying it's a little hard to keep track of it sometimes without physically seeing the models.
It's definitely an army that lends to it's sort of like Morosoli as well in that last game. It's like I can have units over here that have the ability to do this. It's a toolbox type thing where it's like, well, if I advance a Demon Prince one turn, move these guys Dark Matter in a turn, all of a sudden I've got 20 Zangors back in the fight where they've been stuck around in the corner. Yep. Same principle. It's just like as this Orc player, Mike.
Yep.
He's constantly got to look at the threats on board, but also look to the future and go, what threats are coming down?
Yeah.
So he's still got to space out. It's continually, like both Orcs and Genestealer Cult are so good at, and Demons for that reason, are really good at constantly keeping your opponent thinking about other things apart from what's on the board.
Yeah.
Which is a huge,
I think Demons
strat.
Demons have when you take the summoning or reinforcement points, Demons have a slight advantage over. Not only do you have to know what's come in from their list, but also what models they have to summon. I would often keep my summoning tray under the table when I was playing summoning demons, especially in 7th Ed. You know, I don't want my opponent knowing that I'm potentially going to do screamers, or maybe I'm going to do, you know, blood crushers or fiends. You know, have them have to think I could have anything, because that's a fact. Like, I could. You know, there are other times where I might have more obscure units that I didn't use that often that I would keep just in the case. I don't want to unpack every single model I have. Like Josh Brody came down from New South Wales with a 5,000 point. Like, he brought like 3 or 4 cases, 5,000 points worth of demons. Yeah. He has everything. Just assume he has every demon model.
And that's why demons for a long time were really, really strong. Like, they've weakened down to basically where they sit in the meta now. But, you know, in the early editions and stuff like that, they were the boogeyman type style list, where it's just like, if you had the money in the investment, like, you know, like you said, Dean brings down five cases, you could tailor everything to your opponent.
Exactly. And it was interesting. So when we went to ETC in 7th Ed, when summoning was pretty much anyone could summon, we had a whole bunch of spare demon models that we just kind of had as a pool of models that any of our players could just kind of grab from. It made it a little harder in that scenario because you had to have a look at what models were left. You know, you didn't want to think you were going to be able to summon screamers and someone else has summoned them all. Yeah, it's... All right, so we've got some big dick plays coming from Lee Abbey against Morris Holy.
Everything's coming on.
Everything's coming on. Everything's coming down.
So either he tables me or he doesn't, and then I table him.
Is that the theory?
Well,
hold on. Let me just spin this around.
What? Hello there.
So what's happening?
So basically, Lee has got a flaming unit and 2 combat acolyte units, and they are all coming on. So I have 1 bloodletter bomb still in deep strike. So if he doesn't fuck me up, I'm going to come down and I'm going to, fuck him up. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be juicy.
It's going to be juicy. All right. And that is why this channel has the mature audience recommended warning. We constantly get asked why at Down Under Network we don't want to mic our players. That gives you an insight into some of the reasons why we don't want to mic our players. We got no control over what these idiots are going to say. And we do have, while we have the mature audience on our channel, the mature audience warning on our channel, it's, you know, it's good to have it kiddie friendly sometimes. I know Lee's family have watched Down Under Network a number of times while he's been on it, and I've had to say a couple of times to the people in the chat, calm down, there are kids watching. Literally.
Yeah.
But oh well. It's not as if I'm a saint. I mean, if you go back and hear half the stuff I've said today, I've dropped some bombs myself. I just yeah. We digress. Coming back to the table. So that Morgonaut charged that character, I believe, and ended up finishing the job off.
Yeah. So, 2 thoughts of it. He had the blue hand flamer squad there. Now he did, because he reduced the other squad down the bottom left there down to like 3 models. But I was like, it was almost to the point where I'm like, maybe you should have just split 5 with the Morgonaut, put the Gatling into the big squad, but I'm like, he's trying to pick up the character, but I'm like, you always had the chart option regardless.
Yep.
It's like kill enough to get rid of the blue, overpower into the yellow, just get it done and then charge. But, you know, that's a hindsight thing, but I look at that and go, you're trying to kill one character where you know you're definitely going to do it in combat anyway. So.
Yep. So it looks like Mark's bringing in, because this would be Mark's turn 3, I believe. He's bringing down another Acolyte squad. So Mark had... let me just... Mark's list. So Mark had in his list 2 Aberrant squads, who I don't remember seeing so far, 2 Roxor units of Acolytes, and another unit of Acolytes without any specials, and then he had the big squad of Flamer Acolytes. So he had 4 squad of Acolytes all up. I might take another roam and have a bit of a look at the table and try and get down there and have a look. He's currently trying to work out whether or not he's got any space to put a unit in the top left-hand corner, which he, I think Mike thinks he's blocked it off, and it doesn't look like Mark's overly focused on that space, so for Mike's sake, I hope that he actually did this time.
All right, so still got that Mega Nog squad of 5-man who's just having to leg it. The Roxor unit got taken down to 3 Roxors.
Yep, that's the bottom left near the shock attack gun.
Yes, that's correct.
One. Yep.
And a unit of Aberrant.
Is that purple?
Yeah, the purple squad is Aberrant.
Yep.
And then the other Roxor squad of Acolytes is pretty much the bottom center of the table.
Yep.
Pretty much standing.
They're lining up the Morkanaut.
Yeah, they're lining up that Morkanaut. And then he's trying to work out, I think, where he's going to place that final unit of Aberrant and a couple of the support characters.
Yep.
Heading back over to Jeremy Marigold's game. The Noble Terminators have come down. Still looks like it's in Jeremy's advantage, I think. It's a little hard to say, but I just can't see enough on the other side of the table, and Jeremy has too much of his Death Watch left.
Well, we told you, he tailored for that list.
That specific list.
No, so Jeremy's going the pure. Do you want to do a little bit of a list breakdown for him, or?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, so I'll get into Down Under.
Yep.
I might be able to.
So I can bring up on my phone.
Okay.
Alright. To Army list. Mr. Jeremy Martino. So Jeremy has a battalion of Death Watch. He has a librarian. He then has a second librarian with a jump pack, which has the Beacon Angelus. He then has 2 Watchmasters. The unit of veterans with 4 Terminators, 3 of which have Cyclone missile launchers, and then he has then he has 1, 2, 3. He has 5 veterans with Stormbolt and Storm Shields, and a Watch Sergeant. He then has another unit which looks fairly much the same. Then he has another unit which looks pretty similar but has a biker in it. Then he has another unit with which is similar with the biker unit. Both of the ones that have a biker have a Vanguard veteran. And then he has 2 veteran squads that are just man squads, predominantly Storm Shield, Storm Bolter. Then he has a Rhino, and then he has a Vanguard detachment for the Assassins. So I think that's he's taking the battle scrub list. He's got 2,000 points of Death Watch, but so there is no Vanguard detachment. Ignore that. Yeah, so that's his list.
Very nice.
Shitload of vets.
Shitload of Storm Shields.
A lot of Storm Bolters. How the termies doing?
Well, they made the charge. The wizard on this.
Yeah.
Just, normal Kiwi battlers, just kind of.
Yeah.
We're breaking up a bit, Diff, so the termies made the charge and what?
Yeah. Sorry, the termies made the charge and killed one of the librarians. It look like they just went after a character. I'm not 100% certain whether that was the right play, but yeah, that was the play that was made. I probably would have gone after a unit of vet rather than the librarian, but although at that point I think, and the reason why is because there were too many vet squads still alive, and he didn't have enough. So the vet squads were the ones that were going to end up doing all the damage, and he needs to get rid of them.
Yep.
And he's running out of options to do it. He's out of Nacho Cheese Dreadnoughts.
Nice.
The Doritos. Looking over here at Adam versus Josh. Josh has 2 Demon Princes left and a couple of Ironmen and a couple of characters.
Yep.
Whereas Ads looks to have pretty much his entire army.
Yep. So on a stream table, he's made the charges of the Aberrants from Objective 4 into the remainder of the Orcs that were hiding on Objective 3. He's made the Rocksaw unit into the Gorkanaut. Charge with the 3 Rocksaws into the the Shock Attack. Yeah. So he made all 3 charges.
So the Shock Attack gun did take one of the dudes out in Overwatch.
Yep.
So the big Rocksaw unit is having a swing at the Morkanaut.
So is this turn 3? Just confirm.
Turn 3? Yeah, turn 3.
Yeah. So 3 CP for the Orcs and 2 CP for the Gene Seal Cult when they're both starting with 18 odds.
Yeah. Yeah. They're both hungry CP armies.
It's like one of the easiest armies to get CP4, but for that reason.
Mark has 0 command points left.
Oh. Mark's Australian footwear there.
His what, sorry?
His Australian footwear.
Oh, footwear. Yeah, you can see his thongs.
His
or
safety sandals.
Or jandals, depending on which neck of the woods our audience is sitting at. He's got 7 saves to make from the Rocksaws. So he's just taken 10 damage to the face. Oh, maybe the shin. Realistically, if those Rocksaws, oh mate, those Rocksaws aren't getting out of the belly button. They're taking him out the shin. All right. And just having a little look over at Morrisoli and Lee's game. Lee has gone believe the appropriate phrase is balls deep.
Balls deep. You left the unit in deep strike.
Oh, you left the unit in deep strike. Morris Solly talked him out of it. He got it in his head. Will that come back to cost him? Who knows? Step away from that table. There are some tables that you can just get away with giving people shit. Sometimes though, you just know they're in that state of mind where no, get out of my face, stop trolling. I got important war dollies to be doing.
Next one, down to one word, which is exactly what I wanted.
The Morkanaut has one win left.
Yeah. That means he's locked.
He goes down to hitting on 5.
Yeah.
As big as that model is, it isn't not.
Yeah. It's all right. Before I troll with a joke against Mark, there isn't any strat that actually lets him auto-explode when he's got one wound left or anything stupid like that, does there? There isn't. There isn't, though. That's right. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Mark isn't aware of the one CP strat that lets him auto-explode when he's only got one wound left and kill everything within 12 inches. Yeah.
And re-roll the dice for the Mortals versus GSC.
Yeah. Mark's just giving me the death stare.
You what, mate? Even though he took out one in the shooting Overwatch, 2 rock swords was enough to spell doom for the shock attack gun.
Yeah, I mean the shock attack gun is just a dude with a shirt, really, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, he's Rambo.
He's Rambo.
Takes out whole armies.
Yeah. I don't think he's Rambo. I think he is what's the actual character's name in Predator for Arnie?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Because I'm thinking when Arnie grabs that big rocket launcher thing, that was in Predator, wasn't it?
Commando.
Oh, is it Commando I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where he's just Arnie with that big rocket launcher. Oh, yeah, that is a shock attack gun. And he's painted green and everything. Just like a bought one. I love seeing orc conversions, except for when people just get like, $2 shop cannons. But there's some interesting orc conversions that are going around this weekend. Mike actually played against orcs round 1, so it was an orc off. So what do you reckon? Is there anything Mike can do to really pull this back? I think Mike's up on a few things, but because I think they're doing the progressive scoring Eternal War mission. So, and I think those scores, the Eternal War and the Maelstrom, are actually around the wrong way. Apologies.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, there's a... the Meganov's fallen out the back. It's one of those things where you go, I don't like their chances. The fact that Mark's out of CP is a little bit better for the fact that those Meganovs hitting into the Aberrants will actually cause a bit of pain, because you can't increase their feel that pain and stuff like that. But the fact that he pulled them back, like, they're only moving 4 inches, like, it's a pretty big thing. He's moved them well enough that the Rocket Boys, he's got no jumps, So the early target priority coming into the Gene Steel Cult player was pretty paramount to take out that
Yep.
movement utility. Those looters, you know, good luck seeing the aberrants, you know, through that L. I don't know what's in that blue truck. I'm not sure if he's just placed models in the back of it. That's Rocket Boys that might be worth it.
Yeah. 1 second, I'm just going to go answer a question. Keep talking.
Yeah, so it's one of the things where acolytes do fold to a lot of things. So getting those looters up might be able to draw angles onto the aberrant squad, I think it is, or it might be, I think it's an aberrant squad up on objective in the middle top right. And if he moves in a diagonal down to bail the thing, it's 10 orcs, which is still 20 odd attacks, going into acolytes with t-shirt saves. So he might be able to bail the Morkanaut out there. I doubt it on one wound, but it's a case of if you're standing there, you're not going to be doing much.
The blue truck has the Rocket Boys. The yellow truck just above it had the looters in it, but the looters are now out.
The empty truck.
I would have sent an empty truck back for those Meganobs as soon as the jump guy died. I would have gone bang. Because
you got 9 inches Rocket Boys, which would be enough to get them down to get line of sight on the purple aberrant squad on objective 1. I was just saying the looters could probably move diagonally right towards objective 1, shoot up to objective 3, and then charge to try and bail out the Morkanaut.
Yeah, so all right, so those looters you're thinking should move
towards the Morka.
Towards the Morka and try and get line on the, what I think is aberrants up the top right-hand corner.
Yeah.
And the truck should go pretty much straight down and try and get a line on the aberrants in that ruin. Is that pretty much...
Yeah.
Yep. No, I agree with that.
I'd even have it to guess, because it's like, it's not great, but I'm like, you got to take advantage of the fact that he's out of CP. So shooting Rocket Boys and then charging is one thing. You've got an empty truck for the Meganobs, with the yellow. These piling all your cannons into the building. He's got grots there now, so like it's one of those things because he should still have another unit or 2 of Roxors in reserve.
Both Roxor units are down.
Okay, so he's got no more reserves. Everything's on the board.
I believe everything's on the board. So he had 2 units of Roxors. So the first one came down, failed the charge, and then had most of it die. And then the 2 ended up on the left-hand side, taking out the shock attack gun. The other Roxor unit's currently engaged with the Morkanaut. The Flamer unit dropped down. So the other Acolyte unit was the Flamer unit. That dropped down at the very start in that V shape. And then there's a 4th Acolyte unit which didn't have any additional specials. I'm not 100% certain where that one is. I'm not sure.
The way I look at it, you go at least charge 2 units and then activate your Morkanaut first, and that should, by the time the looters charge, Morkanaut attacks, that should deal with the Acolytes.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what he's doing here with these Rocket Boys.
Well, it looks like he's getting the Rocket
He
Boys
seems to be out, but on the other side, so...
Not sure what he's going for here. Unless he wants to try... the Aberrants can just walk through that wall, so it's not as if he can even just, use it as a road blocker.
No.
Really.
He might be just putting the truck there just to jam the truck in between that space.
Yeah,
so it's
possibly.
like, yes, you can do that, but then you can't get up on top of the terrain, with, 3 inches and 3 inches.
Yep.
Or vice versa, yeah.
Yeah.
Using the Rocket Boys to get out 9 and then charge the to bail out the Morka, because there's no CP. So essentially, you'll get all your charges and the first activation. So you'll get 3 units before the Gene Kill Cult player gets to strike back. So
it looks like he's committed to getting those Rocket Boys out and then moving them backwards.
Yep.
As I said, I don't really see the play there. Like, they're not shooting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you could you could move the truck forward, I guess, and work out, well, if the Aberrants can finish their move, say, there. Yeah, he's putting the truck where he thinks he can block the Aberrants ending their move, which means they have to end their move further to the right, so probably over here, which makes that charge unachievable. But all you end up doing is I don't know, you're delaying it, sure.
The only thing is, if he moved that truck a little bit better and had it 1 inch away from the building, he can't charge through the wall at you. You just can't finish with your base halfway in a wall.
Yes.
So as long as you're further than an inch away from the inside of Objective 1 wall, he can't fight through the wall. He can't move through the wall to finish within an inch to attack you. So, yeah, like you said, you're forcing him to go around. And then he's got Rocket Boys and Looters there to open up. So, but he hasn't done that. So,
if he watches this back, any advice you'd give Mike after the fact? Obviously, the planes being able to auto pop was a little harsh. I think as he brought the planes up in those earlier turns, he deployed them, here, and then went pretty much to straight up. I think what he needed to do was go on better angles, so as instead of going straight up, he had a position. So if the red plane, who ended up in the bottom right-hand corner here, should have ended up more on an angle up the top of the, I guess, the corner of that bottom ruin. So he had the option of turning left and taking up, the whole, almost like a Vanguard deployment kind of line. And the blue one that was at the top left should have done something similar, I think, and given himself some turning lines. The issue he had is effectively he killed his own planes. He suicided his own planes because he didn't have that he didn't give himself a place to move in turn 2 or 3.
Yeah.
This game would be quite different, I think, if he still had planes alive.
I think he hasn't utilised his Mega Knobs and the Rocket Boys to their fullest. Like, you don't need those types of units. Like, he's got no long range shooting. I don't know what Grots are doing protecting everything in that back line. Like, how many Grots you got on top of that missile silo? Like, at least 20, I can roughly see.
Well, depending on how he's deployed, I mean, that's got the mech guns. So...
that might be all the mech gun crew.
Might be the crew.
Yep.
But I think, but on that point, I think people need to plan for the worst. So if he's deployed those Mega Knobs in the bottom left-hand corner, well away from those trucks, with the plan he was going to de-jump them. That didn't work because both de-jump Weird Boys were taken out. If he had the redundancy of leaving a truck in range, so as if the Weird Boy was taken out, he was able to then get those Mega Knobs into the truck. One of the benefits of taking a 6-man squad of Mega Knobs is it fits into a truck.
I'd also be keen to know how much firepower he's actually used this game with those cannons, because, having a cannon against, you're picking up, single dudes. If he's going to give you Aberrant, I doubt that that's ever going to happen. I look at it and go, why not use your 5 Grot crew or 4 Grot crew and gun as your backfield blockers?
Yep.
You know, because it's like, what do you do? D3 shots that hit on 4s and they're strength 8. While they're great, not in this matchup. So that would have enabled you to have your Mega Knobs in a responsive area for the flamers, but he didn't know about the flamers.
Yeah, I think
that's his biggest one. Really.
I mean that. But to be honest, there's not a lot you can do about it. Like, I mean,
there's not. But if you have the Mega Knobs there, you can shoot into 2-up arm and say, dudes with your flamers, you know, or at least have them so, because he pumps so much firepower dealing with them, whereas the Megas, that's 6x4 shots, isn't it? And then the combat.
Yeah.
He had to waste so much of his firepower trying to deal with other units, whereas just having those Mega Knobs up the board, like, I don't even need to shoot that unit. Or I can add their firepower to something else and then just charge them. You know, stuff like that. So, you know, provided obviously rock swords are out and whatnot. But, you know, I just think the trucks and the Megas have stayed at the back. You know, like, fair enough, it's only 3 turns, but I'm like, you could add 2 turns of movement where you buffeted him out enough. They could have been mid-board in a responsive area, more so than up the back.
Also, big shout out to the NZ40 Cabal lads. Hey Bartosh, hope you're enjoying the stream so far. You guys got any tournament streaming that you guys got coming up? You've done a few events on the other side of the ditch. So for those that can't work out the title, NZ is New Zealand. So yeah, it's what it says on the tin. Good lads, they have a podcast. They put on a couple of events, and they have streamed a number as well. Looking at one in Feb. Swish. Well, if you are interested in some Aussie lads coming on from shoutcasting, give us a holler. We've got a few lads that would be happy to talk some shit for you. We'll even try and throw in some choice brew. That's all I got. Sure.
Yeah, so not committing looters or tank busters, now left 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 acolytes to a couple of rock swords, now just to go into the looters.
Yeah. And
like
also, and they're out of charge range. I mean, like, the thing with putting those looters there, well, where he's put the looters, as well as at least the tank busters and the trucks, on the most part, any retaliation on that side, the Mega Knobs can retaliate. If he charges the looters, a few will probably die from Overwatch, although it is aberrants.
Yep.
But there's not enough retaliation. I think the Mega Knobs in this list, once you've loosed the jump, as I said, they needed to get in that truck and get back to the center of their army, and be the counter attack. But c'est la vie.
But now it's another turn. It's that point in the game where it's like they can't afford a turn to get in the truck and then a turn to get out of the truck to get into combat. But he's, as I said, like they should have been moving 3 turns ago.
Yep.
They've stayed out the back.
And Totally Not Panics brings up a fair point. There's a good chance that Patriarch that is chilling behind that, so that Patriarch there is chilling behind the Aberrants, probably has the no Overwatch psychic power.
Yep.
Genestealer Cult, they just have all the toys.
Well, they've got, 2 psychic powers, a relic, and a warlord trait for no Overwatch?
And Vex?
No, 1 psychic power. And Vex,
yeah.
But see, like those looters, I would always imagine that they wouldn't be firing Overwatch, whether it be coming through a wall or, whatever, because you've got characters that are giving you +2 to charge.
Yep.
Moving to that corner of that wall, well, there you go. That's 12 inches from the corner of the wall to the looter. So if we bring that across that forward front-facing wall, that might only be a 6-inch charge.
The final unit of Acolytes that have no upgrades, I think, have just dropped.
Yeah, so they can go in first. It doesn't matter. So, but yeah, that's what I'm like. If you commit the looters, it's 20 attacks into 5-up shirt dudes at toughness 3. You know, would have basically meant that the looters and the Morkanaut would still be alive.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of plays there that unfortunately has left Mike overextended, and each time one of those plays didn't work, if you overextend and you lose a unit as a result, if you overextended and did something of relevance, then you can kind of deal with it. You know, if you overextend, you kill a unit, and then you lose that unit in return, you can usually go, okay, I did the trade. But then you get situations where, like, the planes realistically didn't do much, and then you lost them. So it's not just the overextending. Like, I would happily suicide a plane. If the only position I could do, if I could get it over the back line and take out a dude's, warlord or some kind of bubble-like character that's giving out a buff. If I can overextend, kill that character, and then subsequently my plane dies because I've got nowhere to go, I'll do it. I just don't think that the payoff was there.
Yeah, he went too deep.
You said it. You said it. Well done. That's it's a bold move, Carton. I need a is it
Those are 3-inch charge from the Aberrant, which would have just made it.
The ones into the grots?
Yeah. Now imagine if you just moved those grots a little bit back.
Yeah. I'll do another Roman while I'll probably end up getting a booze. What should I get? All right, stream chat. Should I get a Canadian club, a beer of some variety, a cider? I'll do anything but a cruiser, probably.
You've changed.
How have I changed?
Used to love the cruises.
That's not true.
Why do you ask the chat like this? Straight up, you get tequila, you get VB, which I can't say on stream what it actually means.
I don't know if they have VB. They might have tequila. I do tequila.
Something milk-based.
Just something milk-based.
Yeah. Chocolate bunny cocktail. Go on.
I'm just going to mute myself while I place an order. Oh. I'm going with Canadian Club.
Dry or Coke?
Dry.
It's dry, right?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm just talking to the Twitch channel.
Oh, sorry.
No. I'm telling them what I'm ordering. That's all. Yeah. Cheers, mate. They've also got a number of other events on, and I'm down here, so I'll walk around. They have. What have they got going on upstairs?
So you might be using the Aberrant.
Say again, I lost you there.
He might be using the Aberrants down the bottom screen. I think he just attacked combat weapons and didn't kill the truck, but he blocked it. Which is not bad, because the Mega Knobs are there, so we will be able to charge him. But the Aberrants are definitely not getting shot by the Rocket Boys.
Yep.
We had a good run. Oh, mate, I'm starved. Dowie Smash.
Yeah? They just made the charge, didn't they?
Yeah. We needed a mission critical objective. Well, we're at 2 and then objective 2. So we're straight up bring up.
All right.
2 already.
So the Aberrants went and took out Or,
Give them a finger at the truck.
they're going to punch the truck. Okay.
I'm going to kill the Gretchen and they've been told that animal right. And they just got failed. They failed, then roll and charge again.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so for those who didn't hear that, the top Aberrant squad needed a 3-inch charge and just made the 3 to get into that grot. So that number 2 objective from Maelstrom is worth 3 CP 3 victory points this turn.
Nice.
The Aberrant down the bottom left, as Josh suggested, is just going to punch close combat weapons into the truck to try and not explode it. The Rocksaw unit is punching the looters, and the Acolyte squad, which came in with no additional weapons, they failed their 7-inch rerollable charge. We've seen a few charges that you would, either failed than not, failed. Sorry, more likely to pass than not, have failed. Khan's getting in there. So I've just walked over to Morrisoli and Lee's game. That's the second player so far that's asked Morrisoli if Khan has an invuln save and been surprised when the answer was yes and 4+. No, I don't think many people expect Khan to have an invulnerable save.
If Shock Attack Khan is commando, Khan's got to be bloody Chuck Norris.
Or you reckon? Chuck Norris.
Well, he has been the last 2 rounds we've seen.
Yeah, I reckon Chuck Norris is probably a good character for Khan. I'll ask the blog for the Blood God himself, Dean Sinbeck, who's POing this event, if he had to pick a movie character, who he thinks Khan would be. I have an important question for you, Dean. If a super shock attack gun is Arnie in Commando,
Okay.
all right, Khan the Betrayer,
Yeah.
what is the most appropriate movie character or actor, either way?
Like the terrible 80s and 90s action
Oh,
movies.
has to be like 80s and 90s kind of action.
Okay.
We're thinking Chuck Norris.
Quite controlled in a lot of the shit he does. He's not a loose cannon. He's pretty controlled in the what he does. Whereas Khan's just like a fucking loose.
Okay, so
He has to be a villain too, I reckon.
all right. So Dean says that Khan would have to be a villain.
That's a matter of perspective.
It's a matter of perspective. Is
He's my personal hero.
yeah, we might have to come back to that one because it's a tricky one. Maybe we'll put it out to the chat. We'll come back. We'll put it out to the blog for the Blood God.
Khan's the crazy out of Bloodsport.
Oh, the dude who throws the dust in
Yeah,
his face.
sitting there
Have
kicking
you seen
walls.
Bloodsport?
Or is it
Van Damme
kickboxer?
movie. There's a bad guy in that. Yeah. He in a fight he throws some stuff in the dude's face and yeah. Well, that's very controlled dude as well. Anyway, we'll think on it. We'll think on it.
We've got
Yep.
Vegeta in the chat.
Vegeta. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Bolo.
kind of
Yeah.
one of the suggestions is Vegeta. One of the suggestions is Vegeta. It's not really the same category. It's obviously cartoon, not movie.
Thank you, Beefy. Yeah, so the bad guy in Bloodsport is called Bolo Jung.
Boluyan. Okay.
fun fact, they just had a photo of that. So all the guys in Bloodsport.
Oh, the actors.
Yeah. So I'll have to post that and put it up there.
Yeah. All right. So heading back to Rob versus Stuart, the kid trainer. He thought he would have 3 turns before he was gone. So it's Stuart's turn 4, and he still has models. But he said, this is the turn I'm getting nailed. So.
Oh, that's a good one. We got Kurgan from Highlander.
Ah, yeah. That's the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kurgan from Highlander.
And then we got Ivan Drago.
Uncontrolled rage, maniac.
He reckons. No, I don't. I don't reckon Hulk's a good fit. Hulk was Dean suggesting the Hulk. Maybe.
Probably right.
Check out the lead villain in the Highlander. Because he wears, doesn't he wear like a skull mask?
Yeah, and likes taking heads off.
And he likes taking heads off. I think that is, whoever brought that up in the chat, you know what? I'm going to go, who came up with that idea?
Yeah, Cabal. New Zealand 40k Cabal.
Alright. You just scored yourself a Space Marine hero Death Guard model. So we weren't sure which one it is. It's already untagged. So we're going to have a look. You've got yourself that dude. I'll work out how we're getting it to you. We've got a New Zealand player here today. I don't know if he's just here permanently or not. I'll work that out later, but we will get it to you.
So, update diff. We've had the yellow truck die. Looks like the blue truck lived. Looters are gone. Open solid egg are gone. Aberrants are hiding in the corner away from all the shooting.
So Mike just drew 3 cards, and I'm going to go as far as saying he can't do any of them.
Yeah, I heard something about defend.
Yeah, he needs to defend number 2. Sorry, he needs to defend 4 and secure 2. So defend 4 and secure 2, which means you'd have to take it off the aberrant. With no one near it.
Just tell him to jump over there.
Oh, the stream says just to jump over there. He said, "Eat me."
Yeah. I heard.
All right, we'll go check out Mr. Adam Camilleri versus Josh Brody. All right. Has it pulled back?
I had a good turn at Bullgren.
You kissed 6 Bullgren from Smite. All right. That's a few. And at some stage, I'll have to ask you about Karanak. I need to relook up the stats for Karanak. He's got Karanak in his list. Yeah, what's he do there?
So he's a 70-point character that allows you to summon other things. He denies the psychic power. He can mark an enemy HQ, and he gets pluses hit and wound and damage, I think. I'm just bringing him up.
Yep. Well,
So
I mean,
he's like 3, strength 5, neg 2 or something like that. Ridiculous. He's pretty good. Well,
so he's
for
quick.
70 points.
Yeah.
You know, he's the type of character where you go, I'll advance and move first turn, and then I can summon off of him. You know, like if you want to get, a bloodletter bomb or something like that, he's a pretty way to go in a mixed attachment. Doesn't need it himself. Just give it 2 seconds. So much there.
I'll ask a question.
I got it.
Is he there so as you can summon Korn? Yeah. He's just there so as you can summon Korn.
Yep.
Yep. I think all
So-
the rest is handy. But
So
yeah.
you can deny 2 psychic phase. So movement 10, weapon skill 2+, strength 5, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 4 attacks, and he's neg 2 for 2 damage in combat.
Nice.
So, and then when both enemies are set up, choose one enemy character on the battlefield. You add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls when targeting that character.
So how many attacks did you say you had?
So 4, but he's also got Unstoppable Fury, Ferocity, sorry. So +1 attack when he charges, and add 1 strength.
Yeah. Does he have armor vein?
No, but he's got flashback.
Look, neg 2 and 2 damage, 4 attacks. You know, in the intercessor kind of
It'll be
space.
5 attacks.
Sorry, 5.
And then, you know, you can get up to 6 with him being strength 7, 8. With Diabolic.
Yep.
If you put him near another Corn Prince, that's another +1 strength. Not Corn Prince, Corn Herald.
Yep.
From a Jugger or something like that. He gets beefy.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, like movement 10 plus an advance to get him within. I'll definitely get him within 24 of your Psyker, and then I'll summon from.
You just want to use your average.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Okay. Everyone roll 6 morale, reroll. So I can.
I'm still there.
Can't still there. Can't do much. Can't didn't do much though. He feels. So he didn't do much.
Khan killed 6 acolytes. That's all he's done? Yeah. The game with Lee versus Morosoli. I'm gonna see if I can do this right.
So whose gamble's paying off?
All right. Let me know if you can see the table. All right.
Yep.
All right. So we got Khan the Betrayer down here who just took out 6 acolytes. The Aberrants over here.
Tilted up a bit. Yep.
Aberrants over here rolled 6 on their leadership. Exploded his CP, re-rolled it, and rolled a 6 again. So it looks like there's 2 Bloodletter units, maybe 1 blood. Yeah, 2 Bloodletter units, Plague Bearers. 1 unit. Sorry, apologies. 2 of the Plague Bearers crawlers and the T-Sun characters alive. Then we've got some support characters that look like they're from Lee's side that are coming into play. But one of the key things to point out here at this stage is the clock, 11 minutes-ish to 18 minutes.
Right.
So turn 3.
Too much kissing, not enough rolling dice.
Yeah, probably.
We just got a question about.
Hold on. Happy Gilmore apparently. You reckon Happy Gilmore's Khan?
He loses shit all the time. Not out of the blue.
All right. Let's. I like that.
I'm just going into Down Under Pairings because Vic Masters all run through that. So I'm just looking at. No, so I'm not a subscriber, or you haven't
What do you want to know?
included in. Basically, the percentage breakdowns for your guys.
Yeah, so let me just...
How many space marines, how many, all that sort of stuff. Deep
okay.
dive stat.
Deep dive stats. Okay, let me bring that bad boy...
I have paid my subscription, but I'm just waiting for DT to accept my my pilgrimage. Yeah.
It's auto, bro. It's auto.
Is it?
Yeah.
Lies.
So army list wise, we have 27% of the field as Adeptus Astartes. Then a bit over 11% are Chaos and 11% are Orcs. So there's 7 of those. So yeah, that's percentages, but it's a small field. So there's 7 lists that are Marines, 3 Chaos, 3 Orcs, and then kind of a mix. But half the field is Imperium.
Yep.
Yeah.
How many is it? 24 phase?
26.
26 players.
Yep.
And what was it? 27%.
Yeah, 27. Yeah, 7 players, so 26.9%.
Yep. That's not bad.
No. Well, look, it's what you
considering three, 4 supplements.
Yep. And if we take a look at how the factions are going so far, so Deathwatch, so Jez has finished his game. So Deathwatch are on a 100% win rate. Gene Stealer Cult, of the games that have been submitted so far, are at a 100% win rate. Forces of the Hive Mind are 50-50. By the looks of it. As I said, there's a few outstanding games going on here, so that's probably not the best example. But if I look at games gone to time, 21% of the games have been completed. Oh, sorry, but there's a whole bunch that's including this round. Ignore that. It's misleading at the moment.
So, Dev, with this on because you're obviously on the Down Under Pairings site just there.
Yes.
So all this information anyone can access, provided that they pay your next to nothing subscription.
That is correct, my friend. That is correct. So the either $5 a month Australian or $40 for the year gets you access to. So to be clear, you can see any army list for any tournament for any player for free by just coming into the leaderboard and clicking on that list. But there is an army list page which consolidates all those lists with quick links to the players and gives you some stats and graphs around that. You've got access to additional reports, which are either faction analysis or you can also come in. At the moment, we've got ITC secondaries. We're working on a number of different options. But here I can see things like how many times old school's been used, recon, etc. If I want to look at that, I can look at that by faction. So you can see lots of really cool stuff. And you can really use this to help you work out things like, well, what factions should I use under what ITC secondaries, for example, I should use under what circumstance, or who should go first and second. These sort of things you can take, look at stats and actually make educated decisions on. So those are features available to the subscribers. In addition, we've brought out some additional player profile information. So let's look at Liam Hackett's stats. So a lot of this is just free. Anyone can see it. So things like his largest win streak, his current win streak, what his win ratios are versus what his win ratios are, knowing who went first and second. His recent, and then pretty much from here down. So recent podiums, secondaries, and so on, that's available to subscribers. So Liam has been very successful with the Headhunter secondary, as well as Big Game Hunter and Mark for Death. All reasonably good strats with Orcs. And we can see the win rate by faction and how he goes against faction. So he's absolutely dominated against Tau, playing them 5 times and winning all of them. Whereas Marines... he's played it 7 times and only won 71%. So, cool stats to follow, and we're constantly adding more and more in that space. So yeah, watch it. So we're getting...
It's getting more and more involved as well, because it's like, as I said, this has been coming up to its 12 months. And
yep.
I would hazard a guess about, I would say well over 60 to 80% of events in Australia are actually run on DUP. I know Queensland pretty much. Yeah, I know Queensland's pretty much 100% run. We only have one of our 19 events last tournament season, rounding up, that wasn't run through DUP.
Yeah. So we have most of Victoria, most of WA, most of Queensland. New South Wales is coming over to the dark side. New Zealand, thanks to some of the help from the NZ40 Cabal, has come over to the dark side. So we are, the more information we have in the system, the more these kind of reports have weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the deep dive as well because you can do it per player location too.
Yeah, and actually one of the things we did as a bit of fun, and you can find this on our YouTube channel if you're interested. You don't have to watch the whole episode, but we did a live stream a couple weeks ago. We called it the Down Under Network Patron Challenge. So one of the things you get available to, and we're still working on it, so be kind. But if I go back to this game, for example.
So just a small recap. So basically it's just we're in the final death throes of this. So it's like cleaning up. So those aberrants are about to kill this tank. And then he's just moved more stuff out. The aberrants are moved out from Objective 2, and by the time they start locking up and dealing with all that sort of stuff, all those guns won't be able to fire, and that's about it. Yep. He's moved his back units under objectives, so he's still holding 2 up the back there, Objective 4 and Objective 6. And then he's also got Objective 2, I think it is. No, it'll be 1.
He's got all the objectives. Except for Objective 3 right now. It looks pretty dire. So far, Mike pretty much just has his smasher guns left.
And remember that Norn Queen looking model there? That's the one with the no Overwatch psychopath. So these rocket boys aren't going to be able to fire anyway.
I think
provided he passes the psychopath.
Yeah, yep. So one of the agreed. So one of the things we did the other week was the Down Under Network Patron Challenge. It was just a bit of fun. Do not take too much weight in it. But basically, Down Under Pairings has something we call the predictor that we're working on that takes win-loss ratios currently by player, faction head-to-head, and overall factions, and gives you a prediction on who will win the game based on stats alone. We're going to keep adding to this to try and tweak it as much as possible. But going into this round, for example, Mark Deal had a 57.3% chance of winning. We did a tournament online where no players rolled a single dice on a stream. We just went through and ran a 16-player event of the Down Under Network patrons and put in scores based on out of 100. So in this example, Mark would have got a 57 and Mike would have got a 43. And we just went through the event that way. And Lee Abbey took out the gold of the imaginary game or the imaginary event. As I said, bit of fun. We're trying to add more and more stats and features just to give you, just to make it so as people who are watching the game can get a little bit more out of it. 40K can really be a spectator sport. We've seen the likes of streaming services like ourselves, but starting to show up all over the place, and it'll be really good to keep that going. So if there is anything that you would like to see either in Down Under Pairings or just as some content provided to you guys via the Twitch or YouTube channels that we have, feel free to drop us a line either in the chat, in the comments of if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, or just via Facebook or Messenger. You can pretty much get a hold of us through all the various means. Maybe smoke signal might work or might not work, but a carrier pigeon. I have said for a long time, if someone can get me a message via carrier pigeon, I will give them a prize. I don't know what the prize will be yet, but it'll be worth it. So at the moment, where Mark is just pretty much just trying to kill the last remaining smasher guns. Just pivot. And if we take a look at the Morrisoli versus Lee game, it looks pretty tight. At the moment, Morrisoli is pretty much pushed into his corner, but from a damage output remaining, it looks in a reasonable position. I can only assume by the dance that Mr. Camilleri got the job done. Hello, my friend.
Well, howdy. They can't even see me because you're a camera hog.
Well, in fairness, you weren't here before.
It's true. It's fair.
Ah.
Oh, howdy. How's that stream game going?
It's pretty one-sided now. Mike had a really good first turn.
Yep.
Pushed out, blocked off a huge amount of the board, but he unfortunately was unaware of the 5-point strat combo of lying in wait and perfect ambush.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's the right names.
Yep.
Coming in just outside 3 inches, flame a bomb, and then other units coming in afterwards.
Yeah.
So he did a great job of zoning out, but unfortunately he ended up with like units like that.
Okay.
And so the flamer bomb came in here.
Yep.
And took out like that,
And
and then he
the whole flank's
then he
gone.
was able to put down like rock saw and so on.
You're halfway there. Continue.
There was another unit that should have gone there.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Well done.
That's why you come here.
That's right. Dude, that's perfect. Any ideas who's up with Lee and Solly?
It's a little tight, but you know what?
They're about to clock out, so
just
Solly's
gonna-
got 10 minutes left, Lee's got 4 minutes left. But mind you, the round's about to end anyway, so
Yeah.
they're not that far off.
How's it going?
They're too close. It's too tight. Man, I had a great game.
You had a great game?
Yeah.
You get the gold?
I got the gold. I got the 20 as well.
You got 20?
got 20,
Okay,
yeah.
so not just a good game, but a great game.
I actually am feeling bad about the 20. I'd rather have gotten like a 15 or something and just stayed a little bit under all these
Sharks?
Sharks and dick swingers. But we'll see how we go. But hopefully it's going to be... I'd love to play Rob Lane. I've actually never played Rob Lane.
If Rob gets the win, I want Rob on the stream.
Yep. You guys Rob on the stream, that'd be good.
I want the Orcs. Sorry, the Crons.
The Crons, yeah.
So
Show 'em off.
far we've had Adeptus Astartes versus Chaos.
Yep.
We've had Orcs versus GSC.
Perfect.
Crons versus something would
Versus
be
Guard, yeah.
Crons versus anything. If that's you, then sure.
Oh, fabulous. Make it happen.
The only reason I wouldn't put Rob on is if Rob is playing against either one of the guys on the stream or if he's playing against Morasoli.
Solly, who's already been on. Yeah.
We have a general rule at Down Under Network where we avoid, wherever possible, there are a few exceptions, but we avoid players playing on stream twice in the same day.
If we can avoid it. Man, I'm tired. 40K's a hard.
So, sorry guys. Don't know if you've covered it yet, Def, but Syndax just put up the Vic 40K Masters page, the photo box painting.
Yep.
If maybe you want to give the guys a link.
Yeah, I'll,
It's on the Vic 40K Masters Facebook page.
Yep, I will find it. There are too many Facebook groups and pages.
Dude, I'm literally in half of them. Half of all Facebook pages. You heard it here first.
Half of all Facebook. Alright. I found the event. Alright. Now, he has put up... Sorry, I know this is thrilling
gotcha.
while I find it.
No, I gotcha. If it works.
Okay, yep, alright, so I found it. It has worked. There we go. Thank you very much. So on there you'll be able to find, and we'll just give you a little sneak peek. So the various categories, so the big game hunter category, the various vehicles that have been submitted. Look at that. That's a nasty night.
Sexy model.
Yeah.
There's this awesome Black Templars.
What category?
Everything.
What category?
Sigismund, he's in a single character.
Headhunter
Yeah,
category?
that sounds about right. Where is my Sigismund? That's how you say it.
Oh, that guy's baller.
That's Morgast Arkai. Yarrick, my boy. Still going. Wow, where is he? Gandalf. It's got me last or some shit.
He's left you off.
There he is.
Oh, that guy's pretty baller. I'll give you that.
Sigismund is my Empress champ. The first Empress champ, actually. Fluff.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. First Empress champ. Siege of Terror, he's about to play a major role because apparently he kills a whole shitload of dudes.
Yeah?
Yep.
Of the Xenos or Heretic variety?
Heretic variety.
Of course.
Yeah, it's Siege of Terror, baby.
Of course.
What did the pie chart say for this one?
It had Mark up slightly with the 57%.
Well, mind you, Orcs have the nuts on the GSC. I actually find that impressive.
Yeah, well, you say that. Out of the 13 games, we've got GSC versus Orcs. Orcs have won 7 of the 13, so just more.
There's not much,
Yeah. You'll actually find the more results we get, the actual closer those stats end up getting, rather than what you would think is the opposite. Because you just end up having... if I was to use CanCon as an example, there was one person that did pure Tyranids, I think.
Yep.
Which was Eric.
Yep.
And of course he won every game.
He did, yeah. So he single-handedly skewed the absolute shit out of the stats.
Yeah. Totally not panics. Anton's conversions are on point. Let's check those out. Have you got any categories for me, Panics? We're probably in Headhunter, maybe. There'll be Eldar, because that's probably what he does. But
looks like some close games. Looks like this game between Lee and Sully is actually really, really, really close.
Antonello's Eldrad.
That is. There's a couple of Panic stuff up there.
Antonello's Morgan Raken version.
That's
Check that
nice.
bad boy out.
That's sick. He's big, isn't he? He's a big boy.
Yeah, as I said, so go check out that link that that Josh just posted in the chat, and check them out. Give some pictures the likes, and yeah, it'd be good to see some recognition to some players out there, some hobbyists. So they're just we're just in that kind of
lull before the end.
Yeah.
The end is nigh.
And if I spin that bad boy around. So we've got the very little amount of there's.
Looks like it is a very tight game between Lee and Sully. Lee is about to time out. He's got 1 minute left, and Sully has 7.5 minutes left. And they've just started another turn because this is ETC, not ITC, so it is just death clock. When your clock's out, you're done. There's no when everyone's below X amount. Looks like we've just had the game on the top table finish. Mark, looks like Mark's taken it. They've had a handshake. Nice.
Hey, Mark, do you want to talk to Mark, or do you want me to talk to Mark?
You get up? Yeah, you can talk to Mark.
I dropped 1 point.
Come on, have a chat.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
You are welcome, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. That was it doesn't look it from the turn 3 on, but that was actually a very hard-fought game.
Yeah, were you feeling a little bit of panic in that first turn or so when he was able to take up as much of the board as he was?
Yep, the second I saw him put the guys down, coming that line down the Advic side of mine, blocking me off, I actually said to him, "You've just won the game. Congratulations."
Yeah?
Yeah. But luckily he left enough space for me to drop a flamer bomb in, which was lucky for me, able to wipe out 4 units of Grots and most of the Orc boys, which allowed me to drop in some of my bombs to clear off some more space and bring the Aberrants in.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard, though. It's pretty hard to block out a flamer bomb entirely.
It is very hard.
I'm not going to go as far as saying impossible, but close to. And if you think about how you would need to do it, like using Orcs, but pretty much any army, to do it, you need to have a lot of chaff, small units, which die to flamers.
Yeah. He definitely had the arm to do it. If he'd gone a little bit more conservative with his line and probably dropped it down the middle about 7 inches in front of the grots, I wouldn't have been able to drop a flame bomb in there. So I would have been able to torch the boys, and that's about it.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Sorry, guys. My opponent, who I just gave full sports scores to, just walked up and gave me so many fingers. I'm starting to feel like a Lebanese prostitute.
There goes our Disney.
Probably not.
We do have the mature audience warning. I think the trick is not to actually if you're trying to zone out against, say, a GSC list. If you try and overcommit to try and do the whole board, you end up failing.
Yep.
You have to pretty much go, okay, I'm going to just deal with the fact I can't do the whole lot. So if he had, instead of going as far as, there and then the 2 planes, if the 2 planes had been that final bit, and then the last lines were like that, then you could have quite easily just gone, okay, well, unfortunately, I have to deploy here.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
Right,
he did try with the planes to get a first strike as well as a character assassinate kill from Maelstrom Point.
Yeah.
I had my Primus hiding up next to one of the planes. He dropped the plane there. He's like, cool, I'm going to kill that character to get some nice points. And unfortunately, he whiffed and done 1 wound. And he dropped both his planes. He allowed me to just block off that side, so both planes just auto-popped.
Yeah, I was suggesting that instead of placing the planes going straight down the line, I probably would have gone more on the angles that way.
Yeah.
And then both of them could have taken up and turned. I know that's a bit of a crazy diagram, but basically you don't. The way he had it, he pretty much could only go there.
Yeah.
Which made it very easy to block off.
Yep.
At first look, I thought it might have been only really achievable of blocking off 1, because in theory, he could have flown one and died. And then the other one could have flown to where the other one was.
You can't place it, so you can't move it. So it's stuck there. And then at the end of the turn, if you can't move it, it dies.
Yeah, just thinking that one through. But I'm just trying to work out whether or not there's a way of achieving it so as if there's a sequence in which they die, whether or not you could have one die and then the other one fly to where that one was.
Yeah, it's one of those things in the rulebook. It actually doesn't specify that it dies. It just says it's got a minimum movement. It doesn't anywhere say that if it can't do that, it dies. Yeah. It's just kind of been assumed by everyone it dies, but because there is no... If this can't move at this point, it dies. Yep. It just dies at the end of the phase.
You just got a compliment from Bartosz from NZ40K Cabal in NZ saying, nice beard.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's
top-notch beard.
Unfortunately, it's almost a year growth, and I'm meant to be getting rid of it next March to raise money for Shape for a Cure.
Good cause. Good cause. If you are you doing, I'm assuming you'll have some kind of Facebook thing where I'll be keen to share that around as well. So give us a holler when you actually get around to it. We'll make sure we
yeah, definitely. I'm starting up in January, a bit early. But I've been quite vocal with a lot of my friends and family that the reason why I'm growing it is for Shape for a Cure 2020. Yep. I started growing it end of November last year.
Yep.
So it's been a bit of a commitment, a bit of an itchy and hot commitment. And, well, about time I stopped playing Forge World. Yeah, honestly, I just played the Custodes because I needed a bit of a break from playing GSC for a while. I needed something that I could just go, here is my unit, I'm going to point and click and delete that. And yeah, but now I've been playing GSC for a while, and it's time to go back to what I actually enjoy about 40k.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So,
rapping people and making them cry.
So the interesting, if you compare obviously the GSC versus Custode kind of styles. Yep. GSC are very glass hammer with redundancy of another glass hammer. Yep. Whereas Custodes are very much they punch really hard. There's less of them. And so when one dies...
You feel it.
You feel it. Whereas if you lose, a rock saw unit, you go, okay, that sucked. But by the way...
I've got 3 more.
Here's another 1 or 2. Yeah.
The Custodial unit I went to top table with at EastCon only had 14 models in it.
Yeah.
So you lose 1 model and you've lost a good fraction of your army.
Also, I mean, if you... Because you can lose them for legitimate reasons that aren't, I'll say quote-unquote your fault. by things like, all right, you had a rock saw unit that came in early on down here that went for the charge and failed with the rerolls.
Yep.
All right, because that was a rock saw unit, you go, okay, sucks. All right,
well.
I've got another one.
Yep.
And
Which then failed the charge.
Yeah. But if that was a custode unit that had dropped down to do a charge.
Yep. And then I lost it.
And then you lost it. It's like, well, there's a quarter of your army.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yep.
Yeah. So is there any things that I know you obviously had quite a strong result there. Was there anything that you would have done differently if he had played a little bit more defensively with those lines?
Yep.
Do you think you'd be pushing it uphill?
Oh, definitely. If played more defense, I would have been pushing uphill. I don't think I would have been able to get. The fact that I was able to choose my deployment ended up winning me the game. I spent the entire game either wrapping something or hiding behind cover.
Yep.
Yeah, just the fact that I was being able to hide behind buildings by building, and the way he had everything, just had clear lines of fire straight. If I popped out, I died, and I was just able to hide everything. If he'd chosen the other deployment zone, I probably would have lost straight up.
Yep.
Yep. No half the places to hide, nowhere to kind of sneak up and go bit by bit up.
Yep. Because I mean, you had an aberrant squad that ended up dropping around here-ish.
Yep.
That ended up, down there.
Yep. Just through charging, just consolidating, wrapping.
Yep. You killed. You charged, killed the boys, moved up, charged, killed the grots, and just kept going.
Yeah.
And that's it's said by a number of people, but Nick Nanavati says it a lot as well over on the Art of War podcast and his coaching. Is that the assault phase is effectively the second movement phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% it is. Half the
the amount of times you move further in the assault phase.
Then I'm in my actual movement phase, yeah. I was moving an average of 6 inches each assault phase, so the aberrants were moving 12 inches a turn, then charging.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just insane that people just don't expect a 6-inch movement unit to move that fast.
Yeah.
And they're just that durable against the low AP, high damage. Yeah. Like, my opponent charged a unit of 5 Mega Knobs into aberrants and killed 2 of them because I was reducing his damage by 1 and passing through no pains.
Yep.
Yeah, so a unit of 5 Mega Boss and 5 Mega Knobs should eat most toughness 4 infantry with a 5-up save.
Yeah.
But instead it just bounced off and got murdered.
All right. Well, we might wrap this one up and have a short break. It is going to be a shorter break than what we had at lunchtime. So I'm hoping we'll be back within half an hour or less, but keep an eye out on the Facebook page. And once again, big shout out to our patrons for their support. They've been able to, with their support, we've been able to get a whole bunch of upgraded gear. And we're joined by one of our patrons. So big thank you very much. That's where your money goes. All right. So, peace.
Thanks, Diff. Have a good one.
Thank you too. That was up.